Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's WEConnect International webinar. My name is Maggie Berry, and I'm the Executive Director for WEConnect International here in Europe, and I'm delighted that you've joined us for today's webinar, Time and Energy Secrets for Busy Women. Our presenter today is a highly sought-after women's leadership coach, speaker and author, Cath Daley, and Cath is passionate about helping women to rid themselves of whatever is holding them back so that they can become the extraordinary leaders who will make a bigger difference in the world. In today's session, we're going to be learning about how to focus on energy management and how to tackle the challenge of having too much to do and too little time to do it in. To keep background noise to minimum, participants are all on mute, so please keep yourselves on mute and use the chat box to answer any questions you might have. There will be time for a discussion at the end, and I know that Cath's going to ask some questions going through, so please do just use the chat box to answer or ask any questions. Cath's going to talk for probably about 40 to 45 minutes. We are recording the session, so you'll be able to listen back. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Cath, thank you so much for presenting for us today. I am going to give you the presenter role, and the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Maggie. It's great to be here with you all today and to have the opportunity to share this information. I will be sharing quite a lot with you, so you may find it useful to have a pen and a notebook handy. I know when listening to a webinar that there is a great temptation to be multitasking, to be checking emails, to be looking at your phone and so on. And I ask you to give yourself the gift of some space today, of being fully present for the duration of this webinar, because it will make a difference. As Maggie said, we will be using the chat box, and type in there for me now. Type yes if any of these, if you've experienced any of these. You've ever felt drained or overwhelmed, exhausted with everything that you have to do, and you struggle to get it all done because there never seem to be enough hours in the day. So type yes in the chat box, see if that applies to you. Some of them coming in thick and fast. Also, type yes if you never seem to be able to get any time for yourself, or you find it difficult to switch off. You know, you're checking your emails, you're checking your phone late at night, maybe even you have it by the side of your bed. You're not sleeping very well. Lots and lots and lots of yeses. Well, know, ladies, that you are not alone and that you are in the right place, because I'm going to share with you today some tools that when you use them will start to change things for you. So what we're going to be looking at today is the myth of busyness. I believe that there is a busyness epidemic in the world, and I'm going to share with you a simple technique to start to get you off that busyness roundabout. The part of Superwoman and what she does in order to contribute to your stress and overwhelm. Now, many of us have been in Superwoman for a long time, and you recognize her in others, and she really does increase your stress. Why energy management is the key to changing things. Most of us have practiced time management techniques for a long, long time, but actually they don't work particularly well for us as women. And when we start to work from a different perspective, from the perspective of managing our energy instead, you can actually get up to 3 hours extra a day. And then I'm going to share 4 secret strategies you can take away and start to use immediately. So you might want to think about, or even jot down, what it is specifically that you would like to take away from this webinar today. So just have a think about what it is you want to get from being on this webinar today. Before the webinar, I know Maggie sent out an email asking you to think about your biggest time and energy challenges. So again, I'd like you to just type them into the chat box. I won't share names, I'll just share what's coming up for you. So what are your challenges in the area of managing your time and managing your energy? What is it that stops you being as effective as you can be? What is it that's contributing to you being stressed out and tired all the time? So what are your challenges? Just type them in the box. Yeah, email overload, that's quite a common one. It's become a curse of the modern age, the amount of emails that we have. Worrying about keeping up with business social media. Yeah, social media is another one that can take over if we're not really, really careful. Expectations of others, having time to do things but not the energy to do them. Difficulty making decisions because we sort of can't think straight. Other common ones are, when I talk to women about this, so that they're too busy to get the important things done, like spending time with friends and family, because they feel that they're constantly firefighting. You know, generating continuous business development opportunities. We feel under pressure all the time. Yet combining 4 children and a growing professional business. And you may find it, you know, sometimes it's like, I just need a holiday. But then what do we spend our time doing when we're on holiday? How many of you can actually really switch off? One of my clients went on a fabulous holiday to Barbados, but she took her iPad and her phone with her. So she didn't actually switch off. You know, you may be feeling narky, you may be feeling touchy. You may feel under the common one I see with women as a consequence of this is that they're constantly feeling under the weather. So there's that cold that they can't quite shift, that they can't quite get rid of, that's there all the time. And all of these are really versions of, you know, I'm spreading myself too thin. And it's very, very common. The thing is, it does have serious consequences. According to the American Psychological Association, 28% of women report high levels of stress. So just jot down in the chat box for me, if you think about your level of stress at the moment on a scale of 1 to 10, what would it be? And be honest, what is your present level of stress? Or the level of stress that you've experienced on a particularly bad day during the week? 9s, 8s, yes, ladies, you're not alone. Women are reporting levels of stress between 8 on 10 and 10 on 10. 38% of women are, 33% of women are satisfied with the amount of sleep they get, which means 67% of us aren't satisfied. We're not getting the amount of sleep that we need. And that has serious consequences, ongoing consequences for our health and well-being. 69% of people feel busy or very busy, with women aged 30 to 60 being the busiest. That's what I mean about what I call this busyness epidemic, which is so busy all of the time. 96% of leaders feel burned out from studies at Harvard Medical School. And as women, we're twice as likely to suffer from anxiety and 60% more likely to suffer the negative effects of job stress and burnout than men. All of which negatively impacts on our mood, our ability to focus, on our mental performance. And long term, it leads to an increased risk of heart disease, adrenal fatigue, depression, and burnout. More women than ever before are burning out. So I think you'll agree with me, ladies, that these statistics are a bit of a concern. So why is this happening? How has this come about? It's because many of us live a lot of the time in Superwoman. We've either been her or we know her. She's not your best self. She's running around trying to get everything done. She, you know, has to be brilliant in the boardroom. She's the one who can take the best care of the family. She can handle everyone else's breakdowns. She feels she has to be the best at everything. You know, she is a brilliant gourmet cook. She works out at the gym 5 times a week. You know, she's the sex goddess in the bedroom. All the time, Superwoman is pushing through. It's a very aggressive approach to life. And if you recognize it, just type yes in the chat box. Do you recognize Superwoman? If you are in Superwoman, how is she impacting your life? Or you may know other women, you may know colleagues who are in Superwoman. What's her impact? Because she will have an impact on relationships. She's not a nice person to take on a date because she's more of a man than the men she's working with very often. You know, she's having an impact on your work. She's having an impact on your health. Now, this pushing through, everyone can do it, both men and women. But here's the thing. The sorts of behavior that Superwoman exhibits, the aggression, the focus, determined, go setting, all come from what we call a masculine energy, and they're all fueled by testosterone. Now, that's great for men because they've got lots of it. But as women, we do have some, but we only have 1/13 the amount that men have. And when that runs out, we run on adrenaline and cortisol, which is sometimes been called the stress hormone. And it is exhausting. Type yes in the chat box if you feel that you'd like to say goodbye to Superwoman, if you are really connected to her. Yes, I'm seeing some yeses here. But there is a different approach that enables you to become truly effective whilst coming from a different energy, using less energy that's not fueled by testosterone in the same way. So instead of using Superwoman, Superwoman is an example of what we call an archetype. An archetype is simply a way of thinking, a way of behaving. If instead of coming from Superwoman, we come from different archetypes, then things can change. Superwoman is an example of what we call a disempowering archetype because she actually drains your energy. And we use 5 women's power types instead of using Superwoman, and they are, as we go across the screen, they are Lover, Queen, Warrioress, Sorceress, and Mother. Now, for the moment, it doesn't matter what they're called, and we don't have time today to go into these in a lot of detail, but when you operate from these power types, life actually just becomes easier because you use less energy. As I say, you can think of them as patterns of thinking and behaving, and I'm going to share some of the tools from this approach with you today. So how can you give yourself less to do? The number one mistake that most women make in the interests of time management is aiming to be able to do more in the hours they have. And the to-do list just gets longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. But I believe that what we really need to learn is how to stress less and become more effective with the time we have. Now, many of you, I'm sure, will have done a variety of time management courses, and many of them teach you to delete and to delegate, which are the first 2 steps here. But from my experience, we don't tend to do either of those effectively. We think that we have to do everything that's on the list, so we don't really delete, and we very often don't delegate because the only way we can get something done properly is to do it ourselves, which is coming from Superwoman. That's how Superwoman operates, because she knows she's the best at everything. So delete and delegate are the first 2 steps in something called the task management process, which actually have 5 steps to it. Again, I've not got time to go through all of this with you today, but what I will do is I'll send Maggie a link. She will be getting an email at the follow-up email after the webinar, and they'll have links in that for you to go and download the task management process with the instructions and a worksheet there to help to take you step by step through that process. And then step 3 to giving yourself less to do is to actually start to do things differently. One of my clients, Claire, was completely in overwhelm when she came to me. She dreaded going into work every day because she never seemed to get on top of everything. A to-do list just seemed to be getting longer and longer and longer. And just by starting to use this task management process and to focus on energy management every day, she became much more effective. And she told me that she reckoned it had halved her stress levels. So as I say, I'll share with you later the link to download your copy. One of the things we pride ourselves on as women is our ability to multitask, because we think it saves time. But multitasking brings its own problems. Earl Miller, who is a neuroscientist at MIT and one of the world's experts on human cognition, attention and learning, has this to say about multitasking. When we're toggling between tasks, when we're moving between tasks, we actually use energy. It seems as if we're just seamless, but actually there's a series of small shifts, each of one uses energy. And it also has a cognitive effect. It ruins productivity, it causes mistakes, and impedes creative thought. A surprising big one for me is a study at the University of California discovered that it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to completely refocus on a task after an interruption. And how many times a day do you get interrupted? How many times a day do you change tasks? Imagine the amount of energy that goes to waste from all of those interruptions and all of the times that you change tasks during the day. And other studies by Daniel Levitin and other neuroscientists and others have shown that multitasking, as well as reducing efficiency and lowering performance, also increases our stress and anxiety. It impairs our ability to make good decisions, and it contributes hugely to overwhelm and burnout. So it's actually making us less effective and more tired. What happens when we focus on time management is that once we've listed all the things you need to get done, and there's usually more of them than could realistically fit into that time, which is often why we try to multitask, it's only then that you start to think about your energy, if at all. At a push, you might schedule in things like going to the gym or a dentist appointment. But fundamentally, your replenishment gets fitted in around the other important stuff. And so the inevitable happens. Things take longer than planned, meetings get moved, projects get developed and delayed, computers crash, mistakes happen. But because the focus is on managing time, it's the replenishment and rest that gets shunted out completely, which is why we're getting so stressed out and heading for overwhelm. We need to develop a relationship with ourselves, with our bodies, and our energy levels so that we know when we're effective and when we need to replenish. And that's where secret strategy number 1 comes in. We all have the same number of hours in the day. It's how we manage our energy that I believe makes a difference. Think about how much more effective you would be if every moment you spent you were working your optimum energy. If when you had time with the family, you were 100% switched off work and completely connected and present with them. When you go to an important meeting, you feel rested, energized, full of ideas. Or when you needed to blast through some admin, you could be laser focused and decisive. Most women can find an additional 5 to 10 hours a week when you learn to focus on energy management and the strategies that go with it. And the first step is you can begin by noticing your energy levels during the day. When you wake up, ask yourself, what's my energy level like right now on a scale of 1 to 10? And then just notice as you go through the day, which tasks deplete your energy more than others? How does your energy change over the day, over the week, over the month? Because as women, we are cyclical. We have a menstrual cycle and our hormonal levels change during the month. And that has an impact on our energy. One of the tools that I use with my clients is looking at how that rhythm, that energy pattern over the month changes, because that will can affect what you do when you do it. So you can, when you understand that, you can become much more effective by optimizing your energy at different times of the month. So the first step to change is awareness. So I would encourage you to start just noticing what your energy level is like, which things deplete your energy, which actually replenish your energy. And that leads us on to secret strategy number 2, about stopping energy leakages. You could be wasting anywhere between 1 to 5 hours a day just switching between tasks. And if you add on top of that the energy that you waste dealing with interruptions, then you can see how this is starting to deplete you. Energy gets lost moving between tasks of different energies. You're often advised on time management, some time management schemes to batch your tasks together. So try and arrange all your meetings together, try and arrange all your calls together, and so on. But the problem with that in terms of energy is if, for example, you batch all of your phone calls together, the energy you need to make a phone call, to make a sales call, is very different from the energy that you need when you are making a call to a colleague who's just a deadline. So this approach goes deeper. It's not just about batching the tasks together that are the same, but it's about batching your tasks according to the type of energy they require. Because if you know they need a certain type of energy, then you're staying in that same energy so you don't leak energy away, swapping from one to another. Energy gets wasted in, I'll just do this before I stop. Energy gets wasted in guilt. Energy gets lost when we're not able to decide what to do next. So the secret strategy number 2 is to start to batch your tasks according to the type of energy they require, which follows on from step 1, which is to notice which type of energy you are using when you're doing a particular task. Now you notice I've got the power types there. Once you learn how to use the power types, they actually add a different level of this, because we then start to batch tasks according to the different power types, because each of the power types has got their own energy. And the other simple thing that you could do is to plan for the unexpected. Now, you say to me, how can you plan for the unexpected? Because it's unexpected. But the thing is, if you frequently get interrupted, if you frequently have things drop on your desk at the last minute that completely throw your schedule out, then you get frustrated, you get resentful, and that drains your energy. Being frustrated and resentful are very unresourceful states. So if this is something that happens to you regularly, you can counteract it by planning for it. Block some time in your diary, say an hour a day, for the unexpected. You can call it whatever you like, but it has a psychological effect as well. So if you know that something's going to land on your desk unexpectedly, then you've got time in the day to deal with it. So you've got an hour later in the day, or you know that you can actually deal with it now, and then you've got an hour later in the day to catch up with the other stuff. If nothing unexpected comes in, great, you've got an extra hour to go and have a cup of tea or do whatever you want with it. But planning for the unexpected can really make a difference. I shared this with one of my clients, and it has made a huge difference to her working week because she now feels much more in control of what's going on because other people have got access to her diary. They're putting things in here, there, and everywhere. And she planned for her week, and then she'd come in the next day, and all sorts of other stuff had been put in there, and it completely thrown her diary out. So her levels of frustration and stress were huge. Simply adding this time in every day, and I think she actually put in 2 hours every day. She put in 2 hours every day. It completely changed how she felt about her working day. So if that's something that happens to you regularly, think about doing that. As I said before, I think busyness has reached epidemic proportions. For most of us, or many of us, I'm busy has almost become like a badge of honor. And at some level, it's becoming linked to our value. You know, the more I do, the more I'm in demand, then the more valuable I am, right? But if you've recently heard yourself telling someone that you can't because you're too busy, then actually what you mean is that it's not a priority. If someone you loved and were responsible for ended up in the emergency ward unexpectedly, you would never be too busy to be there. You would drop everything and you would go because it becomes your highest priority. So a way to get off the busyness roundabout is to, first of all, avoid saying I'm too busy, because we fall into the trap of getting and staying busy. Saying I'm too busy is a mindset as much as anything else. You know, we say yes to everyone and everything because that makes us feel valuable, because we're so indispensable, people can't do things without us. But a way to get off that busyness roundabout is to learn to say no with ease and grace. Now, many times we don't want to say no because we don't want to upset people, but this is not about doing it that way. And you'll notice the picture is there of the Queen power type. The Queen power type, one of her characteristics is her ability to set boundaries brilliantly. And that's what this conversation is. This is about setting a boundary around your time and your energy. So how does it work? Well, say, for example, somebody comes to you with a task to do at the last minute, and you've got a deadline of your own. So instead of agreeing to do it because you want to be helpful and then resenting it or moaning about it or getting stressed out about it, then you have this sort of conversation. So first of all, you acknowledge the person. Thank you for asking me. You then state the boundary, but that doesn't work for me right now. And you need to do it from sort of the energy of the Queen. The Queen is very calm, she's very serene, she's very confident. It's about setting that boundary, and you don't have to give a reason. Most of the time we give justification, we make excuses for why we want to protect our time and our energy. You really don't need to do that. So acknowledge the person, thank you for asking me to do this, but that doesn't work for me right now. But you're not going to leave them in the lurch, so the next step is to collaborate on a way forward. So, and that could look like, let me see if I can think of anyone else who can help you. Or I know so-and-so would be able to do that for you. And this is something that, as women, I think we really, really need to learn to do, is to say no, but to say it with ease and grace. And just this one step alone can make a huge, huge difference. So secret strategy number 4. Let me ask you, When is the last time you actually did something for yourself, purely and simply for you, without anybody else around? When's the last time you actually did something you enjoyed just for the pure fun of it? We are so busy seeing to everyone else's needs, making sure they're all okay, that we completely ignore our own needs. One of the tools that we use is called the needs creep. And when I say this, you're going to go, needs? Me? I've got needs? No, I haven't got needs. But actually, we all have needs. And people say to me, but isn't it selfish looking after your own needs before everybody else's? The safety procedure on an aeroplane tells you that in the event of a crash, to put on your oxygen mask first so that you can better help others. And replenishment is the same idea. If you don't replenish your energy and you're running on empty, then you can't be your best self. You can't bring the best version of you to your work, to your family, to your friends, to your life. So my challenge to you is to give yourself the gift of an hour, just an hour every week, to do something by yourself, for yourself. So it's not involving anybody else, it's not involving the children, it's not involving your husband or partner or whatever. It's just for you to do something that actually replenishes your energy. So think about what sort of things actually help to replenish your energy. It might be, I saw a statistic recently that very, very few women now have baths, they have showers, because a shower is quicker. So how about giving yourself the gift of an hour, buy yourself some beautiful bath oil, and give yourself an hour in the bath with candles and make it a really special experience. Or maybe if you never have done it, go and give yourself the gift of an hour to have a manicure. If it's something that you don't do, but you like doing, but you never have time, give yourself the gift of an hour to go out to a coffee shop, take a book with you or a magazine, and just sit for an hour by yourself, enjoying your coffee and reading. It may be walking out in the park for you, and you just go and you spend an hour just replenishing your energy. If you like listening to music, but you're always doing it when you're doing something else, how about giving yourself the gift of an hour to just sit and listen to music and not do anything else? That's it. Just be present to it. And I will challenge you to give this a go, because I know some of you are going to find it very, very hard. And that's probably why you should do it. It will make a difference. It really will make a difference to you. So, to summarize what we've covered today, we've covered a lot, I know. We've talked about the myth of busyness and how there's a very simple way to start to get yourself off that busyness roundabout by simply learning to say no with ease and grace. The part Superwoman has to play, she is absolutely exhausting, and she can be useful for about 15 minutes, but most of us stay in there for 15 years or longer, and that's when she's causing the problems. When we learn to focus on managing our energy instead of managing our time, then life becomes easier and we become hugely more effective. And then I shared with you 4 secret strategies, each one you can take away and start to use today. I know we've covered a lot today, and there are some great things that you can take away and implement straight away. But in my experience of working with hundreds of women with these tools, that hearing about them is good and enough to make a couple of little changes, and little changes will make the beginning of a difference for you. But it's not until we really dig into what's preventing us from letting go of Superwoman, why I'm saying yes when I should be saying no, what stops me from taking the time to replenish, when we start to dig in and have a look at what's underneath that, what's causing us to say yes when we know we should be saying no, when we get someone helping us to get new perspectives around why we're not operating from this new approach, and then release those things, that allows us to shift and let the new habits take root. Which is why, although I shared a lot with you today, if any of this has resonated, if any of it has felt like common sense, and you know you should be doing it, but for some reason you're not, then I invite you to do some deeper work with me. I'm going to ask you to request an energy management strategy session with me. I would normally charge £200 for these sessions. They're about an hour long, but as a thank you for you being on this webinar today, they're free. And what we do in one of these sessions is dig into how you would like things to be. We take a look at how things actually are, and what I'm going to help you see is why you are making the choices you're currently making. What's actually stopping you from being able to step into the effective, energetic version of you? We'll create a strategy together around how to overcome that, and what changes need to be made. And I'll give you some additional tools that will really help you, and you'll have a plan to go forward from there. And if at the end of the session you want to continue working with me, then that's great, but there's no obligation. You'll get a lot out of the session just to deepen what we've been talking about today, and perhaps understand what's been stopping you from being able to implement it. I have made 10 spaces available in my calendar over the next 2 weeks for these free sessions. The calendar link is on the screen. They will be allocated on a first come, first served basis. And can I ask you, please only book one if you're going to show up. Please don't take a time away from somebody else. If you book a place, please commit to showing up. So you just need to go to that calendar link there on your screen and book the free session, and you can book it right now if you want to. As I say, this is my way of saying thank you for taking the action to be on this webinar today. In the follow-up email, Maggie will send you the links to download your copy of the task management process. If you have any queries about what we've been talking about today that I'm not going to get time to answer today, I will take some questions now. Then there's my email address, contact email address, and you can find out more about what I do on my website. So, ready to take any questions?
Cath, thank you so much. That's been super interesting, and there's been lots of interesting comments coming through in the chat box as well. So thank you for that, and thank you very much for this offer of the energy management session. So ladies, please do make a note of that bit.ly link, and if you're interested, then get in touch. I mean, you guys are on the live call, so you have more.
Yes, you get first chance.
You get the first chance for one of the 10 places. Cath, I had a question which was around. Can you talk a little bit more, or in a bit more detail, about how you identify what energy you use doing different tasks? Because there was a number of different things. I'm like, right, okay, so I'm doing, I don't know, whatever it might be. How do I identify what the energy is that I'm using?
Okay, so give me an example of a task, Maggie.
Okay, so I'll be dead honest. My least favourite task of the month is I have to do a monthly report for our head team about all the amazing stuff that we're doing here in Europe. And I just find it's quite an admin. Yeah. And I don't know what the bleeping is. It's quite an admin-related task.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sat at the computer doing it.
Right. In terms of a task like that, you need to, if you're writing a report, then you need to have a certain amount of creativity. Yeah. You need a certain amount of focus. You need a certain amount of so is it taking information that you've already got, or you can pick this up? Yeah,
the information's all there. I just need to collate it from different places. So see my calendar.
Okay. So there's also an energy of collecting things from different places. So it's not quite a multitask, But if you've got to go to different places, then there's an energy around that. And just all I would say to you is just when you do it, feel it. The first part of this is just becoming aware. So just notice what it feels like. Not the amount of time it takes, but what it feels like. Give me an example of another task that you do that you think might have a different energy.
Yeah, okay, let me I don't know, because I don't know, doing telephone calls, I spend a lot of time. I mean, I've been on calls all morning. I've done a couple of calls with women-owned businesses, and I've done some calls with corporates talking about WeConnect and our work. And for those, I need to have more energy because I'm connecting with people, but obviously it's virtual.
But also, it's a different energy. The talking to women about their one-to-one businesses, talking to corporate is a different energy. When you're talking to, and this is where I haven't had much time to talk about the power types, and that's maybe something that you'd be interested in running something on again. But when we learn how to use the power types, each of the power types has an energy associated with them, and you can bring that energy to, and it fits with different tasks. So, for example, when you're talking to those one-to-one women businesses, your voice will be different from when you're talking to corporates, because in corporates it's almost a bit more serious and it's a bit more got a corporate, for want of a better word, a corporate feel to it, and you will sit differently. The interesting thing about all of this is when you start to tap into energy, you'll notice what's going on for you inside. Each of those energies has a different way of being. So when you feel it, if you think back to when you were talking to some of those women this morning, okay, you will be more in what we call like a mother mode of energy when it's, you're caring about them, you're helping to nurture their businesses, you'll be saying things in a certain way. Then when you go into corporate, your voice will be different because you're talking, it's much more straight-laced, it's much more masculine in its energy, it's much more business-focused, it's much more, if it's a big corporate in particular, then this is what we're going to do together. Can you hear the difference in my voice? That's really. I mean, you will be doing unconsciously,
and I'm sure I won't be the only person. I stand up. I stand up and walk around, depending on what we're doing. I mean, right now I'm sat down because I'm talking into my computer for you. But when I'm on the phone, I definitely move around. Great.
I'm just being aware of that.
Yeah. Please, as Cath and I are discussing, if anybody else has any questions, please do use the chat function.
Please
use the chat box and enter them there. Cath, that would be great. And certainly, I know that you're going to give us some extra resources to pass on to everybody, and the recording will be shared with everybody as well. So
yeah, Maggie, just start to notice what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. It's becoming self-aware. Okay, this energy, I'm doing this today. How am I feeling? Because the feeling will. So much time we spend in our logical brain, and we get completely in touch with what our body's doing. And this is about reconnecting to what's going on internally, because your internal state will change. It's got a physiological aspect, it's got an emotional aspect. All communication and all behaviours depends on our internal state. So when you start to just become aware of this and just notice one isn't good or bad, I just want you to start noticing what's going on for you, and notice how your energy shifts during the day. And you may find that if you notice that corporate calls are taking more of your energy than the others, and you have more energy first thing in the morning, then it may be an idea and become more energy and efficient for you to put all of your corporate calls first thing in the day, if it's possible. It's not always possible.
No.
But you won't know that until you start to map how your energy changes during the day. And the huge one for women who are cycling is across the month. Indeed. We tend to blast through it like men do, and just, we're not cycling, me, but you know as well as I do, you have days in the month where you just want to hide under a duvet. You just want the world to go away. You just want to hide under a duvet. And that energy will affect how you perform. Once you are aware of this and can map it out, particularly if you've got control of your diary, then you can start to make yourself more energy efficient. Is this making sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it works because as women, we're much more conscious of our energy than men are.
Great. Well, thank you for that, because that was certainly of interest to me. There don't seem to be any other questions coming through in the chat box, so I'll just ask again if anybody's got any comments or discussion points that they'd like to raise, or if anybody's looked at this before, that would be really interesting. I know the chat box doesn't it's a little bit slower to type in, but please do share.
Okay. There's a comment. If Karen is still on the line, there's a comment there. If no, what risk I will have in my company? Just if Karen's still on the line, can you just tell me what that means, Karen, and I can see if I can help. Is she still there?
Karen looks like she's still there. Let me have a look.
You can type in what that means. I think
it was Jacqueline actually that asked that. If no, what risk? Jacqueline, yeah, Jacqueline, if you're still on the line,
oh right, okay.
Please do type in. I think maybe
if no one risk I will have in my company. If you can just expand on that, Karen, then I can.
No, it was Jacqueline.
It's not Karen, so it's Jacqueline.
Mm-hmm.
If Jacqueline's still, sorry, Karen. If Jacqueline's still on the line, then maybe she can expand on that a little bit.
Yeah. No, but are there any other questions?
Any other questions, ladies? Okay, Jacqueline. If you can expand on what you typed in earlier, I can help you. You said, let's find it now. Where's it come? If no, what risk I will have in my company? I don't know if that's about saying no. Is that what you meant? If you can just type in the chat box. Okay.
And Cath, you're obviously, as mentioned, while we wait for Jacqueline to do that, I mean, I know that there, you mentioned about resources that you'll share. If people wanted to find out more, obviously they can come to you. Are there any, I don't know, books or authors in this area that you would recommend, or if somebody wants to do further reading about the, different things in this space? Is there anything else that you would?
Oh, that's a good question.
There might not be, don't worry, but sometimes there's maybe
if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, because I do post articles on LinkedIn about this.
Oh right, that's a great idea then. Yeah.
So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, tell me that you were on the webinar so I know sort of where you've come from, and connect with me on LinkedIn, and then you'll get the articles and other resources. I post quite a bit on LinkedIn from time to time.
That's good to know.
My website at the moment is undergoing reconstruction, but you can still see, you can get some idea of the programs I run and the information. There's lots of blogs on the old site, which is cathdaley.com. It's still up at the moment, so there are resources on there. There's loads of articles on there if people want to have a look at them. And when my new website launches, there will be lots more stuff on there, but it's not ready yet.
Sure. Oh, no, that's all good. Well, what I'll say, it doesn't sound like anybody's got any more questions just now. So I'm going to say thank you very much to everybody for dialing in and for participating today. And Cath, a big thank you to you for presenting for us. We will get the follow-up note sent out with the additional resources and with the bit.ly link. But ladies, if you would like to take up one of those sessions, click on that link, make a note of the link and click on that. And
that's you, Maggie. You can take one as well if you want.
Yeah, well, maybe I will. But then, and if we'll also include, Cath's contact details. So if you would like to get in touch to find out more, then you are welcome to do that. So thank you very much, everybody, and thank you again to Cath. And a lovely afternoon. And it'll be interesting to find out more about this and delve a bit deeper. But thank you very much, everybody, and thank you, Cath.
Thanks, Maggie. Thank you to everyone for participating. It's been fun.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.